friend Saturday that they met up with, they said they were going to go pack up and move their campsite. That it was like he was still freezing them out.
Welcome to Reporter Room, where we seek truth and justice. My name is Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist, and today we're going to talk about the case of Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito and how Brian Laundrie relates to the Moab murders of Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner. We are also going to look at a photograph that's been circulating that is supposed to be of Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner. I have enhanced it for you for your consideration, and we're going to look at that toward the end. We're also going to consider the statement put out by the Grand County Sheriff's Office. Let's get into it. Before we go any further, please know that everything I'm about to share with you is my opinion, and opinions are not facts, so please don't send any negativity to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Let's be good and decent and kind to each other. It's been more than 3 months since Sean Paul Schulte outsourced or crowdsourced a search for his daughter Kylen and wife Crystal Turner in an effort to find the women after they didn't show up for work on August the 16th. The women were last seen at Woody's Tavern on August the 13th at 9:30 p.m. They reportedly told their friends that there was a creepy guy hanging around, and if they were not found, that maybe the guy had murdered them. That is an ominous warning. So Crystal was 38 years old and had been married before, and she had 3 children who survived her. She was born in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and sadly she and Kylen were not buried together. Kylen was 24 years old and lived in Vail, Colorado, Wolf Point, and Billings, Montana, along with Moab, Utah. She was buried next to her brother at Yellowstone Valley Memorial Park in Billings, Montana. Before we go any further, please take a moment and give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. This case is moving fast, so I don't want you to miss anything. So the women were last seen at Woody's Tavern on August the 13th at 9:30 p.m. And they reportedly told their friends that there was a creepy guy hanging around their campsite. Ominous. And even more ominous, the women said that if they turned up dead, that he was the one that did it. So why do I think that the creepy guy that Crystal and Kylen described to their friends at Woody's was possibly Brian Laundrie? Well, the day before, on August 12th, Brian had an altercation with Gabby Petito outside the Moonflower Grocery Co-op, where Kylen was working as a cashier. Brian and Gabby were reportedly working on Gabby's blog just a little bit away from the Moab grocery store, so they would have definitely seen Kylen. Moonflower Grocery Co-op is very tiny, so Kylen was the only cashier on that day. Someone called 911 on Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. Now we know now that it was a guy named Chris who called 911 that resulted in the Moab police stop, which resulted in the infamous body cam footage that we all have of Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. But Brian, he would not have known who called the police on him that day. And maybe he thought it was Kylen Schulte. Before I forget to tell you, I have an awesome group on Facebook called Reporter Room, and you might want to join it. You can go down there and share any cases that you're interested in and share any and all opinions. So let's get back to August the 12th. So Brian would have been very, very upset at being pulled over by the Moab police, and then he was forced to go sleep at the Bowen Motel, which coincidentally is just 2 minutes down the road from Woody's Tavern, where Crystal and Kylen were last seen on August the 13th. We don't know where Brian was on August 13th, August 14th, August 15th, August 16th, because the one person who knew where he was is no longer with us. We do know this, that Brian ran back home to Northport, Florida on August 17th to supposedly clean out a storage locker. Now, is that true? I don't know. The reasons for cleaning out the storage locker were that he and Gabby wanted to save money. But my question is, isn't it a lot more expensive to buy a round trip ticket from Moab, Utah to Northport, Florida and put Gabby up in a hotel for the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st? How much money for the hotel? There's no way. And I looked up how much storage lockers were in Northport, and I don't know what size locker that they had, but the average is $100 a month. $100 a month. It doesn't make sense, does it? So Kylen and Crystal and Gabby Petito all had 3 things in common in the way that they were found that again draws ties to Brian Laundrie. 1, they were all found near a campsite. 2, they were all found by or in a creek. 3, Brian Laundrie went back home. Both times they were reported missing. He went home on the 17th to clean out a storage locker, and he went home again on September 1st driving Gabby's van, using Gabby's credit cards, and using Gabby's cell phone, allegedly, but without Gabby. Coincidence? I don't know. But I do know the whole thing is really suspicious, and that this does need to be looked at seriously by investigators. So the Grand County Sheriff's Office put out a new statement that it has no information on the Kylen and Crystal case at this time, but they do say that they are welcoming tips. Here's the statement for your review. Before I forget to tell you, I have a live stream that I am doing weekly called Killer Coffee and Crime Chat. So put on some pajamas and grab some coffee and join me 3 p.m. on Wednesdays, New York time, and I hope to see you there. So let's talk about the gun that was found near the Fort DeSoto campsite where Brian Laundrie and his parents spent an enjoyable weekend camping after Gabby Petito disappeared. So let's just look at this for a second. Brian comes home on September 1st, and he comes home with Gabby's van after a trip of a lifetime with Gabby's credit cards and cell phone, allegedly, and his parents don't ask him anything of why he's home without Gabby. Where's Gabby? Not one word. Instead, while Gabby's parents are frantically calling them, trying to find out where their daughter is, they decide, hey, let's go camping at the Fort DeSoto Park. And we would not know about this trip if it wouldn't have been for Dog the Bounty Hunter. Dog the Bounty Hunter is the one that went in there and found out that the Laundries were at that campsite. And now we know, documentation proves they were there from the 6th through, they say the 7th, but the documentation says through the 8th, so make of that what you will. And now we have this gun that turns up. It doesn't look very corroded, and most things that are in the ocean would show serious corrosion from the salt water if it had been there for a long time. So we have a gun in pretty good condition, bound with twine and weighed down with a brick that just happens to be off the coast of the Fort DeSoto Park. Coincidence? Tied with twine and weighed down with a brick? And in case you didn't know, yes, we do have pictures of Gabby on Instagram holding what looks like a gun. So it does appear that they did have a gun on their van life trip. And to be clear, I do not think Gabby had anything to do with this. I think that this was all Brian, allegedly. So how heartless do you have to be to ignore calls from Gabby Petito's family? We've all seen how kind and decent and lovely they are. And the Laundrie family ignored their phone calls when they were begging for information about what happened to their daughter and instead went off on a camping trip with their son. Not good, you guys. Not good at all. Any decent person would have returned those phone calls. And that's why the police need to speak to Roberta and Chris Laundrie. The police need to speak to Roberta and Chris Laundrie because we need to know if they had guilty knowledge of what Brian had done, and did they help him cover it up? Why is that gun lying at the bottom of the water off Fort DeSoto Park? Can police take the bullets out of that gun and match it to ballistics with Crystal and Kylen? We need to know. I feel like Brian was ruled out way too fast, and no explanation has been given to the public as to why he would be ruled out in this case. What do you guys think? This photo has been circulated, and it purports to be a photo of Kylen and Crystal at their campsite, and I've enhanced it for you so you can look at it more closely. Here's the original photo, and it does look like Kylen and Crystal. However, here is the enhancement that I did for you. If you look closely, you can see that the figure on the left has a beard and is a man. So this photo is not of Kylen and Crystal at their campsite. Do you think that Roberta and Chris Laundrie owe authorities an explanation as to what happened at Fort DeSoto Park, and owe the Petito parents an explanation as to why they didn't return phone calls regarding their beautiful daughter, Gabby? Please leave me your comments below, and I will see you next time. Subscribe!